Okay, we are continuing with the fourth video. And Bishan Singh was so confident that his family will be able to convince him where the Toba Singh is located, whether it's in India or in Pakistan, because no one else gave him a reasonable answer. And in the lunatic asylum, there was a man who believed he is God himself. And Toba Singh finally asked the same question: where is Toba Singh to the God, the proclaimed God? And he said, it's not in Pakistan, it's not in Hindustan, because I haven't given any orders yet. It is neither in India nor in Pakistan, because I haven't given any orders. That was the reply by the so called God of lunatic asylum. But Bishan Singh was not convinced. After hearing that, Bishan Singh pleaded to God, please give orders to make a decision on Toba Singh. And the so-called God rejected the proposal. And Bishan Singh was again lost his temper. He was totally disappointed. And his usual gibberish dialogue, Opardi, Gurgurdi, Bedania, Di Mangdi Dal, Kalsa, Wahai, Guruji the Father. Actually, the gibberish changed to a longer phrase now. And few days prior to the transfer, finally the day of transfer came. As decided earlier, both the government officials came to the asylum. And before that visit, one of his old friend, namely Fasaluddin, visited him. And Fasaluddin informed him that Bishan Singh's family had moved to Hindustan. Everything is fine with the family. Daughter Roop Kaur also has moved to Hindustan. And Fasaluddin tried to console Bishan Singh very much. And he Fasaluddin was trying to meet him for a long time, but due to the partition and the violence, he also couldn't make visits to the asylum. And Roopkar also left him. And here now Fasaluddin came to convey the regards to the family of Bishan Singh after hearing the news of exchange of Bishan Singh to Hindustan. And now Bishan Singh is also being taken to Hindustan. So Fazluddin says, Bishan Singh, please convey his regards to the family members in Hindustan. Everything is fine here. And Bishan Singh's family had given two cows to Fazluddin, or they left the cows in Pakistan, and the cow has had given to birth to two other cows. Everything's fine with it. Likewise, so all the news are shared. But after all, hearing all this information from Fasaldin, Bishan Singh asked the same question, where is Toba Singh? But Fasaldin was also not able to give any proper answer. Bishan Singh continued to mutter his usual dialogue, Apardi Gurgurdi, annex. And finally, the day came. All the inmates were taken to the border Vaga in the lorries. As you all know, they are not normal people, and it is not easy to take them out of their location. The officials tried a lot. After great difficulty, After a great difficulty, the process began, and the officials started the procedures to exchange the lunatics between two countries. And it was a cold day, and they began to suffer cold effects. And there were many confusions and problems in this exchange because they are not normal people. And most of the lunatics were not in favor of the transfer because they couldn't understand the reason of transfer. Actually, the partition was between leaders, it was not between people. And one man on lunatic side began to shout Pakistan Zindabad, Pakistan Murdabad. And this made problems between Muslims and Sikhs, and it was avoided with great difficulty. The problems began avoided with great difficulty, and our Bishan Singh's turn came. Others were already taken, and few of them left. Now Bishan Singh's turn came, and he asked the same question to the officials: Where is Toba Singh? In Pakistan or in India? And the official laughed and said, It's in Pakistan. After hearing this, our Bishan Singh suddenly jumped back and ran towards the remaining group of men who waited for their exchange. And Pakistani soldiers tried their level best to bring him back, but he resisted and he stayed in one place. I won't go there. And he said, Toba Tek Singh is here, I'm not going to India or any place. And the authorities, the officials tried their best to bring him back, but he remained there. And he remained between the borders. And even though the guards, security officials tried to bring him with a force, he installed himself in a place between the borders. And as I said in the first part, he was an harmless man, and due to that, the officials allowed him to stay there, and they continued the process of exchange with other inmates. And it was a long process. After a long time, Bishan Singh suddenly made a cry that was of a victory cry. Suddenly, after a long time, it was. And after hearing this, all the officials ran to him to check what happened with him. And they saw him that he was laying on the ground with his long legs. And as I told you, he didn't sleep for years. Even he didn't lie down on the floor for long 15 years. And that Bishan Singh is lying prostrate on ground now. They were all shocked because he didn't even lie down on the floor for long 15 years, and the man is lying now. And that was on the place between India and Pakistan on the border and laying prostrate. And were beyond the place where he lied down, on the one side was Hindustan, and the another side on the fence it was on the Pakistan. On the middle between India and Pakistan, on a stretch of land that had no name, lay Toba Tek Singh. So here our Bishan Singh slept or laid down, not slept. He laid down on the floor. That place was Toba Tek Singh for him. that was between India and Pakistan. That was a no man's land. The land belonged to neither India nor Pakistan. So here the story is not about the physical borders. Figuratively or symbolically, we can say this is a partition between the people, the love of people, and Toba Singh is figurative of the people who wanted to make India united. The great leader Mahatma Gandhi was also in supportive of India's unity. It was totally against the partition of India and Pakistan. And it was the adamant behavior of some leaders of India and Pakistan that caused the birth of two countries. People like Bishan Singh, people like the lawyer, people like the Fasaldin, they all hesitated to divide India and Pakistan. So the story is to be taken figuratively. The real madness is not physical one or bodily one. The real madness is communalism or religious divisions. Both the country was formed on the basis of a religious conflict. Though India decided to stay secular, Pakistan was a Muslim country after independence. So the madness is not the real madness that affects our body. The madness is communalism or the religious division, split up. Read the story once or twice again and understand how communalism is portrayed in the story. That is very important. You need not worry about the story incidents alone. Thank you.